Forget everything you think you know about tractors. Today, we aren't talking about boring farm equipment. We are unearthing 10 mechanical mutants that look like they were forged in a mad scientist's nightmare. Most of you have never seen these rare giants in action. From an East German skeleton machine with no engine in front, to a screaming American forest beast that moves like a giant spider, these machines defy all laws of physics. Are they genius or pure insanity? We are revealing lost engineering secrets that will blow your mind. Do not click away because the machine at number 1 will leave you absolutely speechless. Smash that subscribe button right now, buckle up, and let's decode the most bizarre steel monsters in history. When we talk about tractors, we often imagine massive diesel engines roaring across acres of land. But some of the strangest workhorses were designed for the humble British garden. Enter the Mayfield Garden Tractor, a machine that looks less like a tractor and more like a motorized wheelbarrow that has gone completely rogue. Produced in the UK starting in the late 1940s, the Mayfield was a two-wheel pedestrian tractor, also known as a walk-behind unit. Its defining feature was its incredibly wide, adjustable stance and a front-mounted scythe mower bar. This dangerous-looking attachment made it appear ready to star in a horror movie, yet it was built to hack through thick brambles and tall grass that standard mowers simply couldn't touch. Under the hood, or rather the exposed metal frame, the Mayfield typically ran on a Villiers 4-stroke engine, a staple of British engineering. These engines produced modest power, usually around 3 to 4 horsepower, but the torque was substantial for its size. The entire unit weighed roughly 300 to 400 lysometers, depending on the attachments, making it heavy enough to dig in, but light enough to wrestle with. The engineering quirk here was the clutch system, which often used a gripping interaction on the belt drive, meaning engaging the drive felt incredibly mechanical and raw. Since early models lacked a differential, turning this beast required the operator to use a ratchet system in the wheel hubs, physically muscling the machine around corners. Despite its primitive appearance and the physical workout required to use it, the Mayfield is a cult classic among collectors today. It represents a post-war era where mechanization had to be scaled down for the individual homestead, bridging the gap between hand tools and heavy agriculture. Seeing one running today is a genuine treat. The vibration traveling through the handles is immense, and the exposed moving parts would likely give a modern safety inspector a heart attack. It serves as a reminder of a time when machinery was simple, easily repairable with a hammer, and required a skilled human hand to tame it. Operating a Mayfield isn't just mowing the lawn, it is engaging in a wrestling match with history. If the Mayfield was the light infantry of the garden, the trusty tractor was undeniably the heavy tank of the two-wheel world. Manufactured by Tractors, London, Aline Ltd., the trusty is often cited by vintage enthusiasts as the most robust British pedestrian tractor ever built. Visually, it is incredibly intimidating. It typically sits on 2 massive iron wheels, or heavy treaded rubber tires, and features a front end that looks like a solid block of cast iron. The trusty wasn't designed for a manicured suburban lawn. It was engineered to pull a single furrow plow through heavy clay soil that would stall lesser machines instantly. It earned its name by being undeniably reliable in the harsh conditions of wartime and post-war farming. Technically, the trusty is fascinating because of its drivetrain and sheer weight. Weighing in at over 600 lbs, it utilized gravity as much as horsepower to get the job done. It often featured a centrifugal clutch, a feature that was quite advanced for its intended rugged use. This allowed the engine to idle without driving the wheels, but as soon as you throttled up, the weights would fly out, engage the drum, and the machine would lurch forward with unstoppable torque. The gearbox was incredibly simple but bulletproof, designed to take abuse for decades. With a top speed of only a few miles per hour, speed was never the goal. The goal was dragging a plow 6 to 8 inches deep into the earth without stopping. Today, the trusty tractor stands as a legend among vintage machinery enthusiasts. It is not considered bizarre because of a strange shape, but because of its sheer over-engineering relative to its size. In an age of plastic components and planned obsolescence, the trusty stands as a monument to British iron. When you see one at a vintage rally, Listen closely to the slow, rhythmic beat of its engine. It is the sound of a machine that refuses to die. Many owners claim that you don't really drive a trusty. You simply suggest a direction, and it drags you along with it, crushing anything in its path with slow, deliberate power. Crossing the Iron Curtain into East Germany, we find one of the most visually distinctive tractors ever made. The RS09, often nicknamed the Maulwurf or Mole. This isn't a tractor in the conventional sense. It is a tool carrier or implement carrier. The first thing you notice is that there is no engine in front of the driver. Instead, there is a long, skeleton-like central beam that allows the driver to look directly down at the ground between the wheels. The engine is actually mounted behind the driver's seat. This bizarre layout was intentional, designed to allow farmers to mount implements in the middle, front, or rear, giving complete visibility of the crop rows underneath. The heart of the RS-9 GT124 variant is typically an air-cooled, four-cylinder V engine producing roughly 25 horsepower. The engineering brilliance lies in that central beam, which serves as the chassis but also allows for adjustable track widths and an impressive ground clearance of over 9 inches. The driver sits high up, exposed to the elements, piloting a machine that looks like it is missing half its body panels. It was a modular system. You could attach seeders, sprayers, or hose directly under your feet. With a top speed of roughly 10 to 12 mph, it wasn't fast, but its versatility meant it could perform tasks that standard tractors simply couldn't handle without crushing the crops. However, the RS-09 is also famous for its quirks and reliability issues. The early engines were known to struggle with overheating if not maintained perfectly, and the gearbox was notoriously complex to repair. Yet millions of acres in the Eastern Bloc were cultivated by these spider-like machines. To an American eye used to John Deere's, the RS-09 looks alien, like a lunar rover designed for potato fields. It is a perfect example of function dictating form, resulting in a silhouette that is instantly recognizable and utterly unique in the tractor world. Owning one today means explaining to everyone why your tractor looks like it was built backwards. Continuing with Soviet engineering, we have the T-16, manufactured at the Kharkov tractor plant in Ukraine. If the RS-09 looked like a skeleton, the T-16 looks like someone assembled a pickup truck completely backwards. This is a self-propelled chassis, created for utility work rather than heavy plowing. The driver sits in a small cab at the very rear of the machine. The engine is tucked underneath or behind the cab, and the entire front section is a massive open tubular frame, usually carrying a hydraulic dump bed. It essentially looks like a truck where the cab was accidentally installed on the wrong end of the chassis. The T-16 is powered by a small, air-cooled, two-cylinder diesel engine, producing roughly 16 to 25 horsepower, depending on the specific model year. It wasn't built for speed. Top speed is barely 10 mph, just enough to outrun a brisk walk. But its utility was unmatched. The front bed could haul over 1,600 labs of manure, hay, or tools, and it could also power front-mounted implements via a PTO shaft. The weight distribution is bizarre. When empty, the front is light and can bounce around violently on rough roads, but when fully loaded, the traction increases significantly. The steering is hydraulic, but the ergonomics inside the cramped cab are practically non-existent. Despite its odd looks, the T-16 is a definitive survivor. You can still find them working in rural villages across Eastern Europe today. They are affectionately called the beggar in some regions because the front bed looks like an outstretched hand asking for something. It is a testament to the Soviet philosophy of good enough. It didn't need to be pretty, and it certainly didn't need to be fast. It just needed to carry a load from point A to point B through mud and snow, and the T-16 did that better than almost anything else in its class. For a collector, it's an ugly duckling that commands respect for its stubborn durability. Next, we travel to Hungary to witness the Dutra U28, a tractor that looks like it is constantly doing a push-up. The Dutra U28 is a four-wheel drive tractor with a very distinct nose-heavy design layout. The engine and a massive cast-iron nose counterweight hang far out in front of the front axle. This gives the tractor a pug-nose, aggressive stance that is unlike anything produced in the West. Most tractors try to balance weight between the axles, But Dutra engineers explicitly wanted the weight forward to maximize the traction of the front wheels when pulling heavy plows, essentially using the engine itself as a permanent counterweight. The U-28 is powered by a Sheppel two-cylinder diesel engine producing roughly 28 horsepower, which might sound small to American ears. However, the gearing and the 4WD system make it pull like a machine with double the horsepower. The lack of front suspension means the ride is incredibly harsh. You feel every pebble on the road as if it were a boulder. The steering is heavy, and the cabin, if it even has one, is usually just a simple canvas roof. Weighing around 5,500 lbs, it is a dense chunk of metal. Off-road in the deep Hungarian mud, the U-28 utilizes its low center of gravity and perfect weight distribution under load to become nearly unstuckable. The Dutra U-28 is an exceptionally rare sight in the US, making it a true exotic for collectors. Enthusiasts love it for its brutalist aesthetic. It looks industrial and unrefined, like a piece of military hardware painted red or green. It represents a golden era of Hungarian manufacturing before larger Soviet tractors completely took over the market. Watching a U-28 work is mesmerizing. The front wheels dig in, the nose stays planted, and it just grunts its way through obstacles that would leave modern 2WD tractors spinning their tires helplessly. It proves that raw traction is often more important than high horsepower numbers. We returned to East Germany for a giant, the Fortschritt ZT323. This was the successor to the legendary ZT300 series, arriving in the 1980s. While it looks more like a modern tractor than the RS-09, it is bizarre in its sheer size and blocky, utilitarian design. The ZT323 was the pride of the DDR agricultural fleet, built to manage the massive fields of collective farms. It features a very distinct square cabin that offers surprisingly good visibility and a long rectangular hood. It was designed to pull massive multi-bottom plows, standing as a symbol of socialist industrial power against Western competitors like International Harvester. The defining feature of the ZT323 is its tractive power, derived from a robust four-cylinder diesel engine producing roughly 100 horsepower. But horsepower tells only half the story. This machine weighs over 11,000 lbs without ballast. The engineers focused heavily on the transmission, introducing a semi-power shift system that was quite advanced for the Eastern Bloc at the time, allowing gear changes under load. The sound of a ZT323 is distinctive, a deep, resonant diesel roar accompanied by the whine of its heavy-duty hydraulics. It has a towing capacity that rivals small semi-trucks, capable of dragging over 60,000 lbs on a trailer if needed. For American viewers, the ZT323 is a glimpse into a parallel universe of farming. It shows how engineers on the other side of the Berlin Wall tackled the same problems of efficiency, but with different resources and design philosophies. These tractors are built from thick steel that simply refuses to rust away. Today, they have a cult following in Germany, often modified for tractor-pulling competitions, because their chassis can handle insane amounts of torque without twisting. It is a machine that feels like it was carved out of a single block of iron, offering a driving experience that is less about comfort and more about commanding a fortress on wheels. From Yugoslavia comes the IMT 539, a tractor that might look undeniably familiar to some of you. That's because it is a licensed derivative of the famous Massey Ferguson 35. However, the IMT 539 took that design and became a cultural icon in the Balkans. Produced by the Industry of Machinery and Tractors in Belgrade, this machine is bizarre solely because of its longevity and ubiquity in the region. It is the Volkswagen Beetle of tractors for Eastern Europe. Small, nimble, and often lacking a cabin in its standard form, it exposed the driver to the beautiful but harsh Balkan weather while performing every task imaginable. The IMT 539 is powered by a license-built Perkins three-cylinder diesel engine, producing roughly 39 horsepower. It is renowned for being incredibly fuel-efficient, sipping diesel like a hybrid compared to larger machines. Weighing only about 3,500 lbs, it is light enough not to compact the soil, but heavy enough to pull a decent load. Its top speed is around 14 mph on the road. What makes it special is that the design barely changed for decades. While the rest of the world moved on to computerized fuel injection and air-conditioned cabs, IMT kept building this simple mechanical workhorse well into the modern era. Why is it on this list? Because of the stories it carries. The IMT 539 effectively built nations. It is used for everything from plowing fields to hauling entire families to town on a trailer. It has a distinctive high-pitched engine note that every farmer in Serbia, Croatia, and Bosnia knows by heart. In the US, finding an IMT 539 is rare, often confusing many who think it's a vintage Massey until they see the badge. It is a testament to the idea that sometimes the old designs are the best designs. It is not fancy, it is not comfortable, but it will start every morning for 50 years without complaint. Leading the charge into the woods is the Tree Farmer C5. This machine is a cable skidder, and if you've never seen one, it looks like a tractor that has been broken in half and put back together with a giant hinge. This is called articulated steering. The C5 was manufactured by Cancar, Canadian Car and Foundry, and was instrumental in mechanizing the North American logging industry. It sits on 4 massive, equal-sized tires and has no suspension. Instead, the articulation joint allows the front and rear sections to twist independently, keeping all 4 wheels on the ground even in the roughest terrain imaginable. The Pulpwood Special, as some variants were known, was designed to be light and fast. Powered typically by a Deutz or GM diesel engine producing around 70 to 90 horsepower, it wasn't about top speed, which was limited to roughly 15 mph. It was about torque and agility. The driver sits in an open cage surrounded by steel mesh for protection. Behind the driver is a massive winch capable of pulling 20,000 lbs of line pull. The operation is brutal. Drive into the woods, drag a cable out to the fallen logs, winch them in, and then drag the whole bundle out to the landing. The Tree Farmer C5 is a piece of history because it represents the transition from horses to machines in the woods. It is loud, dangerous, and exhilarating to watch. The iconic yellow paint scheme is instantly recognizable to any old-school logger. For an operator, the C5 was a shaker. Without suspension, your spine took the hits from every stump and rock. But its simplicity meant it could be fixed in the middle of a forest with basic tools, which was crucial for loggers working miles away from civilization. It climbed hills that looked impossible, acting more like a mountain goat than a machine. If the Tree Farmer was a contender, the Timberjack 230 is the undisputed king of the vintage logging world. Painted in a striking orange, the Timberjack 230 is perhaps the most famous cable skidder ever produced. Built in Woodstock, Ontario, this machine became the industry standard in North America during the 60s, 70s, and 80s. What makes it truly legendary and a bit bizarre to the uninitiated is the noise. Most 230s were powered by a Detroit diesel engine, specifically the 353 or 453. These 2-stroke diesels don't hum. They scream with a high-pitched wail that can be heard for miles. The design of the 230 is pure function, weighing in at roughly 14,000 to 15,000 lbs, depending on the tires and winch setup. It produces around 80 to 97 horsepower, but the torque curve is instant. The magic lies in the Eaton axles and the Hercules winch. The Timberjack 230 had a low center of gravity that allowed it to climb slopes that would flip other machines. It is famous for its duck walk capability. When you steer, hydraulic rams pivot the entire machine in the middle. This allows the operator to wiggle the machine out of deep mud by turning the steering wheel back and forth, a technique essential for survival in the swamp. To this day, you can still find Timberjack 230s working in the American woods. They are practically immortal. The parts are interchangeable, and the design is so robust that many loggers refuse to upgrade to modern, computerized machines that act up when a sensor gets wet. The 230 is a mechanical celebrity, beloved for its raw power and that distinctive, screaming Jimmy Detroit diesel soundtrack that echoes through the valleys. It represents a golden age of logging where the machine was an extension of the operator's will. If you hear that scream in the forest, you know a legend is hard at work. Finally, we have the American heavyweight, the Franklin 170. While Timberjack ruled the North, Franklin Equipment Company from Virginia was building beasts specifically for the southern swamps and hardwoods. The Franklin 170 is a massive skidder, often seen with a grapple attachment on the back rather than just a cable winch. This huge hydraulic claw allows the driver to grab a bunch of logs without leaving the seat, a huge leap in productivity. The Franklin 170 is bizarre simply because of its tank-like proportions. It feels wider, heavier, and more planted than its competitors, designed to float over soft, swampy ground. The Franklin 170 was often powered by a Cummins or Detroit engine, putting out well over 130 horsepower, and paired with a heavy-duty power-shift transmission. The machine weighs in at a staggering 20,000 to 22,000 lbs, depending on the configuration. The Franklin planetary axles were a key selling point. They were massive and designed to withstand the torque of turning huge 30.5-inch tires in deep mud. Unlike lighter skidders that might bounce off obstacles, the Franklin 170 simply crushes them. It operates with a sense of unstoppable momentum, utilizing hydraulic pressure that could crush a car like a soda can. Seeing a Franklin 170 in action is a display of brute force engineering. It doesn't finesse its way around trees. It bulldozes over brush and drags tons of timber as if it were a bundle of twigs. For vintage machinery lovers, the Franklin represents the peak of American heavy manufacturing. Overbuilt steel that was designed to conquer nature rather than coexist with it. It's a fitting end to our list, a machine that is as powerful as it is imposing. It is a dinosaur of the woods, a remnant of a time when bigger was always better, and fuel economy was just a suggestion. From the tiny vibrating handles of the Mayfield to the screaming Detroit diesel of the Timberjack 230, these machines tell the story of human ingenuity. They are weird, they are wonderful, and they are proof that there is no one right way to build a tractor. Now I want to hear from you. If you had to survive a zombie apocalypse, which of these 10 machines would you choose as your vehicle? The armored Franklin 170 or the agile tree farmer? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this trip through history, please smash that like button and subscribe for more amazing machinery content. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.